So today is January 6, 2014, and I noticed something unusual happened in precious metals. That is, the price of rhodium went up. I had been watching rhodium for several months, and it has slowly been going down, and today, for some reason, it's up $60, or like 5.7%. So rhodium went up today, and I haven't seen it going up in a long time. Does that mean anything? Yes, it does. It means the price of rhodium went up 5.7%. That's exactly what it means. So gold and silver are kind of flat. Silver's at 2016, gold's at 1237.60. And in 2008, if silver had been $20, that would have been really surprising and exciting because the price in 2008 of silver was a lot less than that. But this video is about kind of like 2008 and whatever happened to the toxic assets. Don't hear anything about the toxic assets, not in the mainstream media, not in the alternative media. Well, actually, there's a video. I just saw a video when someone was saying, hey, remember these toxic assets? Remember how in 2008 there was a fear put into our hearts by the mainstream media? These toxic assets in the financial system. We heard nothing about them ever. I never did. And all of a sudden, in 2008, there's a crisis. Out of nowhere, there's a crisis. And all of a sudden, toxic assets are all over the mainstream media everywhere. Toxic assets everywhere. Panic, fear, toxic assets are going to ruin the financial system. We're going to live in a Mad Max economy from toxic assets. And then they wrote this bill, they rushed this bill, and the bankers got their money, and there's nothing about it ever since. So were there really toxic assets? If there really were toxic assets, were they anything wrong with them? Or are there toxic assets and there's a problem we're not hearing about it? I simply don't know. I don't know these questions, but what I do know is it's really confusing when they stick fear into your heart, and then it's like, oh, just kidding. What? So what part is the hoax? Was the toxic assets the original hoax? Because there was never a resolution, right? This thing was never resolved. Or was the resolution a hoax? Or I don't know which reality or not. I mean, when it comes to these toxic assets, I just don't know. So this kind of fear from the mainstream media caused me to trust them even less. I mean, here's this watchdog media. We hear nothing of toxic assets. Then it's shoved in our face. Then we hear nothing about it again. So I said, aha, the alternative media. That's where I'll get answers. So I found, the works of like a Creature from Jekyll Island. I'm saying this Jekyll Island, well, I had never heard about toxic assets. I'd never heard about Jekyll Island. All of a sudden, aha. This guy, Griffin, you know who he is, G. Edward Griffin, is writing a book on the Federal Reserve, so I read it. It's scary stuff. Whoa. And over time, I did more research on his book, and there's a lot of blogs that debunk some of what he's saying. There's blogs that say that he's wrong about things. There's blogs that point out mistakes in his analysis and what he's saying. Because, I mean, he is right on many things, but there's some things apparently he's really wrong about. So I said, okay, well, has this guy been right or wrong in the past? So going to his, looking about him, that he had done a video, documentary about Noah's Ark. So according to this documentary, The Discovery of Noah's Ark, in 1988, there's a book called The Ark of Noah, and in 1992, the author of Jekyll Island did this documentary on Discovery of Noah's Ark, and it says that the original Noah's Ark exists in a fossil form at the, I don't know, in Turkey. They found the Noah's Ark. I mean, that's pretty big news. I mean, I think that the religious people would be all over this, right? I think you'd have Christians, Muslims, Jews, they'd be all over this Noah's Ark thing, because that Noah's Ark is really important to these three huge religions, right? But I don't hear anything about this Noah's Ark, so does that make sense that, he's got a documentary where they found Noah's Ark with these other big organizations that are really, I mean, in fact, I don't know anybody in Christianity who talks about them finding Noah's Ark. I mean, I don't know. So, okay, so the Creature from Jekyll Island, he also did a book called The World Without Cancer. And in 1974, and he says that in the book he says that cancer is a metabolic disease facilitated by insufficient consumption of, here's how you pronounce it, hang on, amygdalin. Okay, so according to the author of Jekyll Island's previous book, A World Without Cancer, people who don't get amygdalin are getting cancer. And it says here, this view has been rejected by the medical community. And so here's this author talking about they found Noah's Ark. We cure cancer by eating amygdalin. And he's talking about the Federal Reserve in another book. And apparently all three of these things that he does are... How much truth is in these things, right? Because some of the things from the book, The Christopher from Jekyll Island, if you do research elsewhere, they say he's clearly wrong about some of these things. I mean, this kind of leads to a broader thing, right? You know, like the 2008 time, the movie Zeitgeist. How do you? I'll make sure you pronounce it right. Hang on. Where is it here?
Zeitgeist.
Yes.
Zeitgeist.
Yes, that powerful documentary. There are three of them. There is one on the religion. There is one on 9/11, and there is one on the Federal Reserve. And apparently there's blogs saying that they have a lot of those. Some of those quotes are made up. You know, some of those big quotes you hear about they throw these big quotes in the Zeitgeist, and others. Some of them they're made up, are not completely true, and some of the other stuff might not be true. So here we have the mainstream media. You can't rely on them. Alternative media. You can't rely on them. You can't rely on any media. I'm a part of the alternative media, I guess, so don't rely on me either. Don't rely on me. Okay, I'll throw it out there. Don't rely on me or any of these things else that you hear. It's all nonsense. I mean, I saw another movie. So I was talking about The Wolf of Wall Street, which of course, you know, it pushes the limits of R really hard. But it's a movie about con men. It's a movie about swindling. Another movie I saw, American Hustle, a big movie about con men and swindling. Right? There's a trend in the news, trend in the media, is cons. They're everywhere. Cons. They're just conning, right? And this G for T, he's being heavily attacked and exposed by a lot of YouTubers for being a con man. And you know, there's all this stuff about here. So okay, so the people on YouTube, right? They go and they can identify certain things. But they can't identify other things, right? What about these con men in alternative media? It seems like all of them are. All of them. I mean, all of them. Anybody in precious metals, alternative media, New World Order, all people talking that, right? I'm talking about the big pundits, right? Who they sell things, and they get money for things, right? It seems like they're all con men. Now, I think it's pretty clear that the mass media is kind of like a mass con. It seems it's everything. It's all a con, right? It's all perception. I don't know. But really, so these toxic assets, do they still exist? I mean, this fear the banking system was going to collapse was a huge reason for gold and silver. Remember the whole reason, the whole thing was going to come down and collapse, and then all of a sudden it was about inflation, and then it was about the other stories. But I think the original story for gold and silver in 2008 was banking system collapses. I think that is a risk. That's one of those real things to buy gold and silver is yes, but it didn't happen. Was the whole thing a hoax? Was this whole banking system going to collapse? A whole hoax in 2008? Yeah. It's so hard. What is real and what is not real? What's a hoax and what's real? What's a con and what's not? Right now I can't determine it. So thanks for watching.